gentlemen. Roll the camera. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to St. Marks on TV. I'm Henry.
And I'm Yasmin.
Scene one, take one.
Coming up on the show we have St. Marks Church School. We are going to see how St. Marks has changed over time from 1917 to 2011. We will be talking to 3 people in the studio. Mr. Holland, who was a student at St. Marks and is currently the school's vicar. Mrs. Ryman, who is the music teacher at St. Marks and is a past pupil. And Mrs. Wilson, who is the archivist at the school. Mrs. Wilson was a teacher at St. Marks and for a while and for a short time she was the deputy principal at the school.
Children in Year 3 at St. Marks Church School here in Wellington are currently looking into their school and what happened in the past. They are learning about the people who went to St. Marks, the classroom games that the children played, the school uniform, and how it has changed over time, the school buildings and the equipment they used in the classroom. They decided to be detective and used the internet, books and artifacts to research information. They have found a lot of information and would like to share their findings with us today. Here's our on-the-spot reporter Archie Taylor was Mrs. Ryman.
Hi Miss Ryman, thanks for joining us today. We know that you were a student at St. Marks and now you teach there. I'm sure you have noticed quite a few changes in that time. We would love to hear all about your experiences at St. Marks. Can you tell us what years you were here at St. Marks as a pupil?
Let me think. I may have to do some calculating in my head. I think I was there around 1970.
What was your favourite subject at school?
It was English and music. I liked music because when I was a baby, our family used to play musical instruments on a Sunday. I have always loved English.
Was the house system set up when you were at school?
Yes, I was in Julia's house. All the houses are named after the first 4 archbishops of New Zealand. When I came back to school as a teacher, they moved me to Averill House.
Thanks, Mrs. Ryman. That's all from me. Now back to Henry and Yasmin in the studio.
An interesting interview. Thanks, Archie, and now for something completely different. I'm sure you have heard your parents talk about what school was like when they went. Many of the stories were funny, but some were about scary teachers who punished children if they were naughty or broke a school rule. Think about what you would do if you were this little boy. Years ago at St. Marks there was a school rule that no one was to go into the school garden. But one day your ball falls down into the garden and you really want to get it. You think of an excuse, but it is not good enough. So you decide to sneak into the garden and retrieve it. If you got caught, you would get whacked by a cane 2 meters long or smacked on the hand really hard. What would you do? Now over to our reporter, Freya Green.
Hello. Thanks, Henry and Yasmin. Hello, I'm Freya Green, and here we have Mr. Holland, who's the figure at St. Marks Church School. Mr. Holland was also a student and a teacher at St. Marks. Hi, Mr. Holland, and thank you for joining us today. We know you have lots of funny stories to tell, especially about not being allowed to go in the garden. Do you have any other stories to tell us about what it was like as a student at St. Marks?
There was a jungle gym and the girls always played on it. When the girls hung upside down, the boys saw their bloomers. That was now with underpants. The boys thought it was disgusting and funny at the same time.
What about the classrooms? What were the teachers like?
They were really strict. One day I had to draw a picture of a duck in the lake, but I was not very good at it, so I used my rubber to rub out. I got caught by a teacher and got whacked by a cane 2 meters long. Really hard.
What was your favourite subject at St. Marks?
I liked most subjects, but my favourite was social studies. I really enjoyed listening to history stories because I like learning new things.
How was RE taught here at St. Marks? Do you have any funny stories to tell?
Miss Annie was our RE teacher. We really liked Miss Annie because she was a really good painter and a good storyteller.
And we're out of time. Back to you, Henry Yasmin, in the studio. Thanks, Fran. Now for something completely different. In schools today, girls and boys can play and work together, but in the past it was a different story. The boys and girls were separated into different playing areas because the girls had to be ladylike. This meant that they had to act like a lady and were not allowed to play rough games like soccer or rugby. The boys used to play soccer on the concrete and the girls used to stay separated and sew or practice their swimming by moving their arms in the air. One of the only times that the boys and girls played was during World War I, when they had to stay at home or go to a special camp. When the enemy was too close to New Zealand, let's cross now to our on-the-spot reporter Logan Angel.
Hello, I am Logan Angel, and here we have Mrs. Wilson, who is the archivist at St. Marks Church School. Hello, Mrs. Wilson, and thank you for joining us today. Can you tell us what an archivist does at St. Marks Church School?
An archivist is a person who looks after past books, information and artifacts. They also keep in contact with the people who are at the school. I keep a record of any letters or events involving the past or present pupils of St. Marks. On special anniversaries, I organise the event and let everyone know about it.
Look back at the past. What did the uniform look like?
At first, they had no uniform, but when they did, the girls wore a pinafore and a straw hat, and the boys wore trousers, a shirt, and a cap.
What were the classrooms like, and what were the teachers like when St. Marks Church School started?
They had a big, lovely classrooms, but the tutors weren't as friendly as they are today. Many children were afraid of them and of getting the cane. Children always listen to the teachers.
Can you tell us any stories from when you went to St. Marks?
There was a little girl who had broken a vase. She was given two choices. They were to leave the school or to get 5 cuts on the hand by the cane. The little girl chose the cane. I thought the little girl was very brave.
Thanks for your time, Mrs. Wilson. Back to you, Henry and Yasmin.
Thank you, Logan. Good evening. This is Tassie, your weatherman, and this is your weather report. Auckland is a sunny 18 degrees, but will drop to 11 degrees tonight. Make sure you have 3 blankets on when you go to bed. In Hamilton, it is beautiful 20 degrees, but will rise to 25 degrees at night. There will be mosquitoes, so watch out. Wellington will be low of 20 degrees, but be ready because it will reach a high of 20 degrees overnight. Good on you, Wellington. Christchurch will be an extreme low of 3 degrees, so you better warm up. It will go down to 2 degrees overnight. Now that's cold. Dunedin will reach 20 degrees by 10 a.m. and a high of 30 degrees in the afternoon. Grab your sun hat and sunblock and head off to the beach because it will be a scorcher. That's all from me now. Good night, New Zealand. We'll spot you back here tomorrow back on the news decks with Henry and Yasmin.
Thanks, Anastasia. Anastasia, thank you all for watching. We'll see you again next time from the whole team at St. Marks on TV.
Goodbye.
Ladies and gentlemen, roll the camera. Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we feature an interview with a very peculiar-looking gentleman.
Scene 1, take 1. Scene 1, take 2. Take 2.